your whole empire consists of all these young and aspiring creatives.
I want to change the narrative for them.
What's the meaning behind that?
People respect you for like what you want to be, not just what you're doing right now.
Opportunities come because of the work.
I had $300 in my name when I dropped out.
It's not about necessarily making the money, it's about making a statement.
You don't know unless you don't try.
Finally, having you back in Toronto, you know, you're all across the world, I should say, not even North America. Before we get into it, tell us a bit about who you are, give some backstory.
My name is Tyler Seller. I am the creator and founder of Masshole Media. So we are a cost-efficient media and production company that services as Uber for creatives around the world. If you're on a 50-show tour, we have people in all 50 states. We have people in all countries. And if you go out there, you don't have to pay your DJ. You don't have to pay your security. We have people out there that can handle all that for you and like save you money. So you can allocate budgets for labels as an independent artist, as a big artist, in a bunch of different ways.
You say Masshole?
Masshole.
What's the meaning behind that?
When you go to Boston, people from Massachusetts, it's like a Massachusetts asshole. So it's like a very distinct group of people.
Yeah.
So if anyone's ever been to Boston and you go out to LA and you say you're from Boston or they've been to Boston, they know that you're a masshole and they always ask if you're a masshole. So it's like a cool way to identify that someone started out of Boston.
Love it.
It's a term of endearment.
It is. Yeah, it's a great term of endearment.
There's a lot of the Bostonians use a lot of swear words in endearment.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ones.
Yeah, shout out to Joe Rogan, who's from Boston.
Yeah, very true.
One of the places he touched on. But yeah, going back to Masshole Media, word that comes to mind, ubiquitous. You guys are everywhere, literally. And factoring in your age. You know I Brent mentioned this a lot, but you're a young kid, you know, and your whole empire consists of all these young and aspiring creatives. Mm-hmm. Was this on purpose that you've accumulated all these people of the same age?
I mean, I have people who are 14 that do work for me. I have people that are 16. I have people that are 30. I have people that are 40 and 50. And all my connects, I have people ranging from 70 years old to 14-year-old kids that are able to plug me with whatever I need, which is amazing that we have a community like that. Mm-hmm. But it's really started out as just like I was taking on anyone who wanted to join and buy into the idea because I didn't have a portfolio. I went to school for mechanical engineering. I never had to worry about making a portfolio. And these kids went to schools and they were learning the same stuff that their teacher taught them. And they would say, go out and take a photo of a flower, go out and take a photo or a video of this. And every portfolio was the same going to colleges. So I wanted to change the narrative for them that they could get other stuff. But when I first started, it was more just like me being greedy because I couldn't go on tours. I was a college student. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money to travel. And a bunch of people around the world were asking me like, can you set me up for this show? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I was like, absolutely, I can set you up. So I decided to create an Instagram page and basically say I produced it. And that was my way of taking credit for a lot of stuff. And then I realized like, holy shit, I can do a lot more and like create a business out of this and help people and help creatives. So now it's gotten to the point where we have to say no to people and like have to kind of care about like the work we put out for artists because we're starting to create that bankroll and create relationships that like they need consistency.
Yeah, your brand and your image is on the line, right?
Exactly.
And now it's become a full-fledged company. And, you know, I'm honored to be part of the journey with you because I remember you giving me that call, like we're incorporating it or LLC, right? And, you know, I kind of guided you through the process as much as knowledge I could give you, I'll lend you. But I remember I shared some like advice with 94 Productions. That was it, right? It was like I wasn't making any money with the business. It was kind of freelance. And then my buddy, shout out Christian in Ottawa, an accountant, told me it's not about necessarily making the money. It's about making a statement, establishing yourself in the space.
Exactly. And yeah, like when you go out and introduce yourself to people, you say you're a director, you say you're a creative producer, you say you're a chef, and you have a lot of respect from there, whether you're bussing tables, whether you're working a $12 an hour job. People respect you for like what you want to be, not just what you're doing right now, because they know you're going to get to that point no matter how old you are. It's that whole mindset that you can be 60 years old, and if you say you want to do something, you've been around the world and lived 10 lives, you can go back around and do it again.
100%.
Yeah. Where did that work ethic come from?
My work ethic?
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is just being young and like want to try everything and like that fear of FOMO, I guess, that a lot of people have, and you want to be a part of everything. I just want stuff really badly, and the stuff I want, I go out and get it. And it makes life a lot more fun when you do it that way rather than just like waiting for stuff to come to you.
It's interesting you say you started off by saying being young, because that's the dilemma I have with work ethic, and I don't think being young and work ethic are in the same sentence.
Absolutely.
You know, Daniel is an outlier. He's a hard worker. I see the output that he puts puts out, and like hearing you and how you're very creative and you got all this stuff, and it seems like you got a lot of avenues coming at your way, which is great. A lot of young people don't have that work ethic right now, so I mean, it's good to hear. It's actually really good.
And
to
a
hear.
lot of people don't know what exactly they want to do, and you're not supposed to at this age. People aren't supposed to at any time in life. They're working to figure out where they want to be at the end.
Yeah.
But I think even being young is just like experiences and like just going out and doing stuff that you never thought you'd do. It's not necessarily just age also, but I think it's just going out and like putting yourself in a position that you wouldn't have found yourself in just to try something. Like I was not exactly. I wasn't planning on doing engineering. The moment I got into school, I realized like I wanted to move in another direction. I put my mind towards other things. I went through hobbies that I loved, like whether it was building Legos, whether it was going out and taking photos, going out and making and selling shoes. Like I was going back through all these hobbies and figuring out how can I make money on this, because you can make money on anything.
Yeah.
And I think that was an important part, because why would I go to something that I've never tried necessarily, but like something that I didn't enjoy doing? So I started with stuff that I liked doing or stuff that I grew to like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed early on when we were connecting is that you have an entrepreneurial tendency. Like I know this from Joe firsthand, like just witnessing him. We just came back from North Carolina, and he's just a networker. Like he just goes out there. He's always shooting, trying to figure out deals and connections and really what value they can bring him as much as he can bring them, right? But with yourself, that's what I picked up. You're buying and selling shoes, and that's how you kind of created your platform. Would you say this entrepreneurial spirit was always within you? Did you foresee yourself in the position you are now?
I definitely know as an entrepreneur, I just wanted to like get my hands on anything that I could.
Okay.
I love like being able to sell people a product or like sell something to them, whether it be words or actions or what I'm saying, and like have them believe in something, because if they believe in something just as much, then we're on the same path.
Yeah.
And same wavelength. I mean, anyone who's willing to listen to me, I'll talk and keep talking and tell them exactly what value I can bring them, whether it's like what I can make for dinner, It's all the little stuff. It turns into the bigger stuff, but please and thank yous, all that, it all comes into works.
Yeah,
Nice.
that makes sense. Yeah, so Masshole Media has been on the rise since we first connected.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Started off with a couple hundred followers, and I've been following its trajectory. You're at close to 2,000.
Yeah.
So shout out, and deservedly, it's supposed to be much higher, because you tell me, the traffic that you accumulate. And you've been dealing with a lot of great artists, right? You've been responsible for having your creatives shoot for Drake concerts, Sexy Red, you were telling me. Yeet, you personally were involved in that.
Yeah.
Any of these artists along the way that kind of elevated your career, or would you say it's just part of the journey?
It's really a part of the journey. I mean, stuff comes up and it's just finding out what one of 50 people can get us in to work with that artist. Granted, obviously some shows are going to be a little bit harder, whether it's Drake, whether it's Travis, something like that, and you have to work a little harder. But all the information's public, and it's just who's willing to give you an opportunity and letting them know that you're looking for the opportunity, not that like you're the best photographer in the world, because they have 500,000 other people that hold a camera and say they're the best photographer in the world. They just want to know that you would give a crap to like put in the work and want the opportunity, and you're going to work hard for it. Like, and obviously like we provide value, but that's just another thing. But if you're an independent creator, then you just got to show that you're working for an opportunity. It's not necessarily about getting paid in cash. It's about getting paid an opportunity. You can't really have both in this industry. So it's kind of whatever you want to prioritize at the start. If you're prioritizing cash, that's great. You can make a little bit of money and then you'll get kicked out of the industry. Yeah. But you have to start with like the opportunity and get paid in that, because if you don't know how to talk, you're still learning the business and you don't understand it completely, then you don't know what opportunities can lead to. You won't understand on networking.
Like I think, I don't know, this is not like some actual stat, but I think just based off the people I talk to, I think the most people out there who are become successful are the ones who aren't seeking money first. It's just like you go out there, you follow your passion, and if you really believe in it and you really believe in yourself, then the money's gonna come. Like and at some point you won't even realize it. You're still so stuck in that creative expression, and then the money's coming in. And then there's a lot of guys out there that's just super creative people, and they don't have the money. But then the money's in their bank and they still don't realize they have the money.
Exactly.
Because they're still in that creative mode.
And that's when that whole thing, like, do what you love comes into play and you start physically seeing that. But why would you it's harder to start something and get paid in it when you don't really have the passion for it. Because I feel like if you start with the money, you don't have the same amount of passion as like if you were just doing it for the opportunity at first, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of passion, working with this artists, they're creative.
Yep.
You're creative. How is it? Like, are there pushbacks, and there's like, well, you really have a vision of doing something with them, and they have pushback, and if there is, how do you work with that?
I mean, obviously, like as a creative director in that type of field, we have our own visions for how we want to do stuff. It's different for certain artists who have been around for 40 years and they're almost 60. Like, those people have their own ideas and have done it for years, and they want to stick to like their game plan. It's better working with artists that are like our age or younger and there's so many of them. They're just so well PR trained that like you wouldn't even realize that they're 20 or 14 years old. You think that like they're 30 or 40.
Yeah.
Because the industry just teaches you how to deal with media.
Yeah.
So it's cool dealing with them because they're just literal high school kids or college kids, and we can go back and forth and be friends and like have that same brain for stuff that's fun, like around our age too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Speaking back to money, a lot of people use the excuse of money of why they're not getting into the business, and that's something that kind of conflict with some creatives or aspiring creatives, I should say, in the city. Especially on the come up, a lot of stories that come to me when I bring that up. For me, money never really driven me, towards that success. Obviously, it's just part of the journey. But going back to like heroes that we both admire, like Lyrical Lemonade, Cole Bennett. When you look back at his portfolio, this guy just had a camera and dabbled with Premiere Pro and then After Effects and then Blender. You know what I mean? Like he just kept going. What has that taught you? Being a self-taught individual, do you take pride in that, or is that just something that you wear?
I take a lot of pride in it. I think that it's never about money. It's like you work hard for that. It also comes in when you say like, you're so lucky to be doing that. And I don't think I'm lucky. I think I just worked hard for it and I'm passionate about it, and I carried that through all my work. I don't like being told that I'm lucky. I think that's like a backhand compliment.
I just want to interject when I see your stuff, because a lot of the cool people, like, Kevin and I, shout to Kevin. Kill your pride. We often joke around and look at each other like, yo, how is this guy getting these clients? But I like that reminder is like the hard work that you put in.
Yeah, sure. People forget that. They just see like the social media life, and they don't realize that we're still real people, and that I love chilling out inside and relaxing when I can, because my 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And that's just how it is. And then on top of that, it's like I'm working throughout the day and like texting people, whether it's like for little stuff, big stuff, photos and like post-production work. I'm constantly working on around the clock. So I'm never really lucky. I like to say that. I thought I was at first for sure. I definitely was starstruck and like shell shocked at myself, not like who I'm around, but just that I was able to do that and like be able to get into rooms like that. Yeah. Which I think
fortunate is a better term, I think, to use, because luck sounds like, you just walked into it, which you didn't, right?
I like the word blessed.
Blessed, yeah.
Blessed and blessed. So like, it's interesting. The word blessed to me, like lucky is you got something and you didn't do anything for it. Blessed to me is because you put work into something, you're blessed to have those opportunities. Exactly. Because those opportunities come because of the work, right? So luck is just like, you put a couple dollars and you become a millionaire. It's not, you didn't work, you didn't do anything.
Win the lottery,
crypto.
Exactly.
For sure. You're definitely not a lucky individual. Fortunate, we're blessed to be in the career that we are in.
Absolutely.
But we put in the hard work. Speaking of feeling sometimes that we're unlucky, sometimes we go through our pitfalls. I'm going to bring this up because I remember you talking about this, and part of it is because I revere you in that year. I think it's even 2 now. You were telling me you were taking a different path with university, right?
Yeah.
You were studying engineering. You had a whole plan mapped out, following the path of your parents. And you decided to pursue Masshole Media. Obviously, we've seen the fruits of your labor.
Exactly,
You've seen it. We were discussing it right now, the rewards. Is there a part of you that you want to go back, or is there any part of you that you regretted?
So I'm actually back in school. I told my parents. Nice. My rebuttal was that my mom she never had a bachelor's degree. So when I said I'm dropping out, my mom was like, you should really go back you should really stay in school. You should finish it, or like find a school that's online that works for you.
Yeah.
My dad was like, dude, like absolutely run with this idea, see what's good. And I'm like, you see, dad agrees with it, but like you didn't get a degree, And like back then it was super important to have a degree because not many people got it. Now it's like everyone has one, and it's just who you know and who you talk to.
Well, you were set.
Yeah,
Like my
'cause-
parents told me when they if you graduated a university degree back in the boomer era, you were set with a close six-figure
Absolutely.
salary.
And even if not, you were working in the union for $40 an hour
100%,
and you were
yeah.
doing all right yourself, you know?
Yeah, that's a big Boston thing, East Coast thing. Like
Absolutely.
unionized working and stuff. But that's a career, right? Like that's what people wanted to do, and they felt really accomplished, and they can feed their family, and yeah, it's just like a
My
steady
dad
job
worked
for
in the
40
union, too.
years.
Yeah, my dad worked in the union in
So much
Montreal.
respect for that.
Yeah, and he went back to school after because he was like, screw it, I'll get the piece of paper, and then if I want to go back to the union, I will.
yeah.
But ultimately went home, just wanted to get it started. And once I got started, I was like, cool, I think I can like start something and like get a little base rolling. So now I'm doing, this is the funny part actually. I won't know exactly what major I'm doing until I graduate and get the paper. I have no idea. I know it's something in business. I know it's something in I'm taking a management class right now. It's every 6 to 8 weeks you take one class.
Wow.
But I have no idea what major I'm in. I know it's business, but it's going to be pretty funny like when I get the degree to like know what I actually studied in, because I don't believe that like you need the paper. And I definitely don't believe you need the paper for like exactly what you want to do, because nobody has a paper for exactly what they're doing for the most part.
No
Yeah,
one.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, unless you want to go into like a formal career, like doctor, lawyer, engineer, and such. But especially what we're doing, like entrepreneurship, can come from anyone as long as you have the tenacity to do it. Right? You show up. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
That was something like myself. I studied marketing. I told you my story. 4 years. Immigrant parents. You better go to school. All your cousins did it. And I was proud to do it. I finished it, but there was many times I wanted to drop out. I think the reason why I bring it up, and I tell you this a lot, is I admire that you took the time for yourself to dabble into and now full out pursue the creative arts, because that's something that I didn't give myself the time at all in my early 20s. I started at 25. Not that it's late, but you have that advantage. Is that something that you perceive for yourself, or are you just kind of working?
I mean, I just got into it right when I wanted to start doing it and just see where I could run with it. But when I had $300 in my name when I dropped out. I did one show. It was Lil TJ and North Ave Jacks. I got paid by Love Renaissance $300 to film for the opener. Wow. And based off of that, I was like, I think I can like start making money now. So I dropped out and like basically went full-fledged on it and started making money on it. So after my first show, I decided to take a leap with it, because I was 2.5 years in to school and my program was 5 years. It was December 20th, the show. And so Christmas break and everything, I was just finished my final exam, went to the show that night. And I flew home the next day. They finished up their tour in Boston. And I said to my parents, I said, I had the greatest experience ever. If I go back, it's going to be 2.5 years and 1 day. That means I'm 51% through college. If I go a day over halfway, I'm going to finish it out.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to take a break. So that's how I made the decision to do it. That's how I gauged it. If I was if I was at 51%, like 1 day over, I would have stayed in school. I would still be in school, and I would have no idea. Absolutely.
It was that close.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
Yeah, very reminiscent. That's exactly what I did. I had to talk with my parents. I said, listen, like, you got to give me at least a year. And then funny enough, the pandemic hit. And I said, you got to give me more than that. But I just needed that space. I think any creative does. What advice would you give to those creatives that are on the fence right now, that are watching this, listening to this, heard this story before, but they can't take that leap? Because you and I both know a lot of people that are like, I don't know if I should do it or not.
I mean, from someone that's done it, school's always there, and you're paying that price no matter what when you go to school. So it's not about the money. It's never about the money.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want the degree, then you can stay with it and get the degree. But if you're 4.5 years in out of 5 years, then like obviously go finish it.
Finish
like 5
it,
months. 5 months is a long time in the music industry, but like in the creative industry as a whole, it's definitely not. There's so much stuff that you can dabble into.
Yep.
The music industry isn't going anywhere. If you're specific to music, it's not going anywhere. We always listen to music. It's always going to keep coming out. That's never going to die. So it's more just like knowing that you have a plan. If you have a little sliver of a plan of how you're going to do this and like your idea that you're doing, take a break, take a year, take 6 months, take whatever, and just dive in a little deeper. Discover that hobby. Just go down a little more.
Yeah.
It's great advice. I'm just thinking about, like, you were mentioning how the music industry is always going to be relevant. And, Joe and I, we have extensive conversations, especially when we're on the road, about, the beefs that go on. Joe has very opinionated about certain people, which is fine, right? Because everyone has an opinion. How does that affect, thinking about back to the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, Does that affect your work? Does that affect any of like, how does it affect
Was
the
it
industry?
good or bad?
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest thing to happen to rap.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
Like Drake forced Kendrick to drop stuff and he hasn't dropped in so long. Like that shows how much that you can get into someone's head and like be a creative mastermind in marketing. And like it's a lot of smart brains and trying to it gets more people involved in the actual lyrics rather than like listening to it and saying like, wow, this is like a very nice beat. This is cool to listen to, which is great for producers. They love hearing that, you know?
Yeah.
But for an artist, they really get to dive into an artist and discover like who they are and what they are.
Yeah.
They've obviously experienced the good side and then like they've experienced the side where they just like rash on each other now. So it's cool to know both sides and like how they come out and how they're portrayed like in a rap and that's in their own style and how they don't fall out of that style, which is pretty cool that you never get to see that really anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty good rap battle. I think so. I think
He's old school.
Yeah.
We have this all the time. What's funny is that I always bring this to mind. When we were in Los Angeles, he was just, before we stepped into an Uber, like that night, because we did bar hopping, right? Before we stepped in, he was just like going on a rant, like, you know, Drake ain't shit and it's all on Nas. And like, you know, he doesn't speak from the heart. These guys went through shit. Whatever, respectable, right? I'm open-minded. We get into the next 5 Ubers of the night, and I'm not kidding you. Everyone's like relatively like our age, whatever, in our 20s. We're just bumping Drake. Even in Charlotte, North Carolina, the guy was bumping Drake when we were going to the tour. And I looked over to Joe, and he just like not want to acknowledge it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
look, Drake's a marketing genius.
He is a marketing genius.
He's done so like, but it also, for me, in my opinion, it goes to say, you don't have to have like lyrically great music to be great artists. But it's weird because like art for me is like going to the Toronto Museum and looking at a couple pieces of painting. That was 10 years ago in my mind, right? And I think you have to be a great artist, painter, composer to be great. And
Exactly.
it's different when it comes to like music. Music's such a different beast.
It's subjective. There's no right or wrong.
As you can tell,
you know?
right? Like
even with what we do, it's
the market.
Every video is good. People are gonna like it. People aren't gonna like it. You
The
know?
market decides, man. That's what we learned, right?
Marketing, brand, like Drake's brand and marketing.
But but what I'm saying, you know this, like the people decide. It's just like this podcast, right? It's only gonna be so good as how much the people receive it. You know, as much as we think it's good, at the end of the day, the market will decide.
You better like it.
Absolutely.
I'm talking to you right now, the market. No, but that's where the talent, right, and the conviction in yourself come through, right? Because it's like you foresee. We're not doing it because we just hope for the best. We're doing it because we know we have some inclination to succeed.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that it's exciting, but it's frightening. It's the reality. Like the market will decide, and that's why you have the terms overrated, underrated, right? Because some people just can't comprehend how certain people are successful. Drake, you know, has the upside for him that he's a marketing genius. You know, he knows how to sell himself. But at the end of the day, like I did my own research, especially talking to a lot of women, they seem to grasp something that he's doing, you know, and it's like whether it's done on purpose or not, you can't condemn him for that, right? And I think that's how the whole rap battle, if you listen to a lot of lyrics, like it kind of, I know there's a lot of like issues with the whole pedophilia thing, but I know there's a lot of shade thrown at you know, his success and anyone at the
and
top,
other
right?
artists in Toronto too.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is astonishing. Going back to Masshole Media, you know, we love seeing the progress, and you work with a lot of creatives. Now, this is something I haven't asked you because I know a for the creatives that you connect with. You know, I've had them on my podcast, Corner Talks back in the day.
They do graphic design.
Graphic design. Yo, shout out Gabe for killing the artwork for the That's the Move podcast and the thumbnails. We'll have you on the podcast one day, buddy.
Thank you, Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe is killing it. I just want to know, out of all the creatives you work with, who's like on the rise for you, or who out of your contacts do you say like, yo, I'm putting money on this guy?
Damn. I have so many people, man.
But is there someone that really sticks
in
out?
the areas, I only take
Yeah.
The thing with me is they're all on the rise.
Okay.
Because my thing is that I have 1 or 2 people in each state.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people in each state that are obviously doing media and reach out to me. I only take those 1 or 2 people I really believe in.
Wow.
Whether the 8 people that hit me up buy into the idea or not, I believe in those 1 or 2 that they're going to do everything. Whether they're professional, and that's the first thing. They have to be professional. They have to have passion and care about it. Some of the stuff isn't going to be paid. Some of the stuff is going to be hard, and you're there to learn. And then once you learn, you're going to take advantage of it. And I think they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of gauge it. And between me and Dre is the greatest co-founder and like greatest guy out of Boston that I've ever gotten the chance to work with.
So you two run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Us two run it. And he is by far the most talented guy, marketing, behind the scenes. He knows exactly like what is needed in the industry and fashion. He does a lot of the fashion side. He does a lot of the creative
We
side,
need that.
which is great to have because for me, it's like I'm music and like I dabble a little bit in other areas like sports and like have connects in that. But all the like real estate, all the birthday and bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah shoots, quinceañeras, like he has a lot more pull in that for like lifestyle and like knows what the general public like want to see.
Yeah.
So he's a smart guy for that and like knows exactly what people can be all around and be able to do everything.
Yeah.
And aren't just there for the ride to just do the music and work with these artists and get the fuck out.
It's very important to have good marketing.
Shout out to Dre.
Yeah.
Very important to have a good partnership.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to shout out, you know, Joe here. We're great business partners, you know, a lot of things that we're delving into and developing. But that's something that I've never, I'll be honest, like I've had business partners in the past, but not to the level of a serious kind of investment where you're, you know, both like-minded.
And we were talking about this for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, man, because I think it's so important. That's one thing I still remember when I would voice to people about entering the film business, they would always say, you can't do it alone. And I would hate that because I'm all about being in control of my own destiny. But the reality is you need the right people, you know, to surround yourself with, to expand your network, and to connect you with the right people. And there's a lot of things that I learned from, you know, Joe, as much as he learns from me. And there's also a lot of people like yourself that I connect with. I think it takes that humility to understand that there's strengths and weaknesses that you can learn from each other.
And also that there's just bad people in the world too. And
Yeah.
like not everyone's for you.
No, I
Man,
know, and
that's
that's
so
why I
true.
hold on. That's why I hold on to the people that are good, right? Because I've been in the business long enough to say, wow, if they're not good, cut them out.
Exactly.
I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she's like, she worked with somebody, and this person portrayed as a very kind person to them, got close to them, and then when they weren't working together, she put some stuff on her social media that's totally against her personal views, and it's like we live in a really collab era right now. This is a very collab oriented era,
Right.
you know, of in content creation. And we're collabing here because we work well together, you know.
Exactly,
I think we have a good contrast with each other of like yin and yang. Like we all have a lot of personal and professional likeness.
The personal part's important because you're going to be around this guy all the time, you know? So
Yeah,
you need
sure.
to actually like the person.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that a lot, like especially for like full-time people doing this. When
Yeah.
you work with the client, you have to like the person.
100%.
Cool, their work's great and all, but like you're with this guy and your room's over from each other in a hotel or you're eating together and you're just having a conversation because that's one of the only 5 guys you're going to be hanging around with.
Yeah.
You know, and people don't understand that
There's
too.
got to be trust there. Like this my friend, she's like, she goes on a rant on these things that she doesn't agree with, but all that audience that she just got from her is now listening to this nonsense that she doesn't agree with, but it relates back to her. So everybody's like thinking, wow, she must think the same way. So like I have to trust him, you know, like, and it's good. We talk each other. Like I know he's not going to post something, you know, let's just say racist on his social media. He's not
Yeah.
going to say, I hate black people.
Yeah, exactly.
When we're doing stuff, right? So that's
Yeah.
kind of like the most blunt way to like describe of going behind your back and stealing your audience and then telling them that Joe sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you got to be careful who you work with. Yeah.
Yeah, trust is an important thing. And one thing I wanted to mention, Joe Rogan talks about this a lot. It's okay to disagree, but it's very imperative to be open-minded. Like, so Joe and I, like, obviously we share a lot of values. We'll have conversations and powwows and like, you know, but at the end of the day, we kind of understand each other and that's it. You know, like there's no bad blood. And too many times people kind of take it to heart and it carries with them. Like, how could he be against, you know, my views or whatever, you know what I mean? So I just think it's really important that people understand that some people don't see things the same way, you know, as
and
you
it's
do.
okay.
And it's okay.
And that it's okay. Yeah.
The big thing, and Joe knows this, is character. Like, do you have good character, good sense of judgment? Because that's different. Because everyone's going to be different, right? Like, Joe watches a shit ton of sports. I barely watch, like I used to, but I don't even like bother, right? Does that make us not friends? No. But I think it's just very important that people kind of acknowledge that there's going to be disagreements. What matters is that you respect the person and what they're saying and where they're coming from.
What are 5 keys of being great?
Being
At
great.
anything. Like what like if you can talk to somebody who's 17, 16 years old in high school right now, and they want to be who you are, what are you going to tell them? What are 5 things you're going to tell them to get there?
Genuine, respected, hardworking, openness, and collaborating. Like, is that 4? Yeah, that's 4. Right?
You got one more.
Yeah, all right. I think agreeableness in a way, because agreeableness can change. At first, when you first meet someone, if they have an idea, don't shut it down right away, because you never know on a back burner if that's going to come into play.
100%.
So I'd say always agree with people and like see them out, because you don't know where they're going with it, especially when I haven't met a lot of people that work with me in person, you know, but they have these ideas and they have that mind game of like what they're trying to do. And you can kind of see it through, but you want to see if they actually do it on their own.
It's interesting you say that. It's very interesting you say agreeableness. I don't know. I like it.
Compromise.
And that's one of the traits. That's a main trait in business too.
So the way you said it is like listen before you shut it down.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's agreeableness. I think that's like open-mindedness.
I think open-mindedness.
Because like if you say something before you shut it down, it's open-mindedness. So you say something and you agree with it before you actually agree with it.
Because I'm usually cool with trying stuff out, and if it goes to shit, it goes to shit, you know, and then we just won't do it again. But or we just adapt to it. I'd say adaptable.
Adaptability.
Adaptable is
especially
like
in the
that
business.
intertwines everything. I think that 5th one's adaptable for sure.
I like that. I mean, everything you
adaptable is
just
that
said is like legit. You can write a book on that.
Yeah.
But I do want to shed some light on the agreeableness, because maybe more so in the creative space. As being in the director's shoes, there are a lot of times where I have to kind of compromise or like understand, you know what I mean, the context of the situation. Like maybe whether it's from a piece of lighting that can't be used, or an actor not showing up, right, or something in a script.
The whole wing it idea.
Oh my god, no, but there's a saying that a story changes like 3 times, or a movie changes 3 times, from the script to the director to the editor, and then finally actually as a 4th to the audience.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that in between that process, you have to be open-minded. Now I'm speaking obviously more from a director standpoint. Every career is different, but the amount of times that I had to shift, adapt, you know what I mean, and compromise to get to my vision, is more so than I thought that ever would happen, right? And I think a lot of creatives, you know, and speaking from my own experience when I was, younger than you, and I was starting off in the business, I was very stubborn. I was very like one focus. I had never imagined in my life I'd be sitting here right now, I'll be honest, because I was so one-minded of I just have to be a director, period. I did not reverse engineer the process. I didn't understand like who I needed to connect with.
You didn't care about the little things. You only cared about the big picture.
Yeah, but exactly. And as I got older, you mature and you realize, no, this is a business. This is because I'm a creative first, right? And that's what it's a blessing and a curse. It kind of gets in the way sometimes. And I realize, especially, that's what I mean by learning from people's strengths, learning from Joe, who's a businessman, who's an entrepreneur. You realize there's more to it than just, I want to make a movie. You know, it's the connections you make. It's the way in which you market yourself. And I just think that's important to compromise for the creatives out there, is if you have a plan, most likely it's not going to go exactly your way. You have to learn in the way in which you need to adapt, you need to pivot, you need to make it work for yourself. Just not losing the integrity of your vision. You know, I want people to understand you're not losing your vision. You're just adjusting it in a way that works for you.
Exactly. And like, I'm out here, I'm doing a music video, and we ultimately ended up changing the whole song the day before I flew out. So so
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Wait, so like they just used a different song.
So we had a whole plan. We had a whole plan of an idea, and we changed up the song. And she was still in the studio, like making changes to it.
Incredible. And you had a shot list and everything. Man, that's a director's nightmare.
Everything, and like,
so it was the same song, but they were making changes to the song.
No, totally different song. But we changed this whole entire song, and then she was changing a little bit of that second song.
That's crazy.
So we're literally going out to shoot it after, but it's that whole idea that you gotta expect that there's gonna be other changes, and you can't really be content. That idea of like content, where I have this idea, if it doesn't go my way, it's gonna really suck. Yeah, it's gonna suck, but like shit happens, you know. You can't really control things you can't control. You know, control what you can control. But I don't love the idea of being content. That's not a thing for me.
Me either. I hate
when you're comfortable, like that's great and everything, but like it doesn't push you to do more.
I learned that the hard way. Yeah, I think Joel. Speaking of similarities, why we get along. So funny enough, my comfortable brain, like we got back from our trip, and I'm just like, I just want to chill. Like I'm burning out, and as soon as I put my head to the pillow, I'm like, hey, let me unpack. Let me organize my room. Let me like who put this shit here? I gotta fix it. And this is what I mean by like I think you're just born. I don't know if you're born with it. I'm still trying to figure it out, or it's just something inside you that needs to be constantly moving and doing something different. And that's why I'm not in like a 9-to-5 job. I find it too mundane. I think that's why a lot of us sitting here, we're in the positions we're in, is because we just like constant distractions, a different.
Yeah, we like the little
change
bit of
of pace.
mayhem, the ADHD pace, and
Yeah,
everything.
man. Like every day's exciting. Like this guy
Exactly,
comes
yeah.
up to me, yo, let's make a podcast. It's like, what? It's like, okay, let's do that. Now, what's gonna happen in 6 months with the podcast, or who do we have on for the guest? And just little things that you add, like notch to your belt. It's hard work. It's extremely draining. It's not for the faint of heart.
No.
I say we're
But you know what I mean?
impulsively,
Yeah.
we're just impulsive. We're
Like this guy
addicted to
hasn't
action.
slept. This guy hasn't slept in the last 72 hours.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah.
And
It's,
he was- you know what I mean?
hard.
So
Just 3 hours. 3 hours.
3 hours. 3 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's what separates good from great. You know what I mean? That's what like puts you on the top. And I posted this, a lot of people, you guys follow me on Instagram. I post a lot of these like memorable quotes, these things that like speak to me. I don't post them just their punchlines. I believe in them. I try to live by them, abide by them. And today I posted no risk, no story. And it's kind of like the only way you're going to have a compelling story for yourself, for your professional career, is if you take that risk, because it's not always going to work out. And that's the thing that I need to like embed in my head, whether it's personal and professional, is you got to go out there and just say, at least I did it. And that's why I think I'm big on the whole showing up. How do you feel about that?
I think, yeah, like, I mean, I'm also like impulsive, like crazy. I need action. I'm addicted to it. I need to go out and always be doing something, whether it's cleaning something, whether it's going for a drive, whether it's getting food. I need to be doing something. I can't just sit still. So that whole idea, I think it's really important that you don't know unless you don't try. And it's that whole idea that everyone says, like, oh, like I might regret this if I don't do it. And it's like, yeah, you probably will. Whether it was the worst experience of your life, you're probably still going to regret not trying it, Yeah. So I'm a big believer in just trying everything you possibly can and knowing what you like. That's a major thing with me.
Yeah, no regrets, like you said, man. Just kind of like knowing that you did your part and did your best. That's something. That
I'm only here for so long. I'm here to teach. I'm here to do stuff myself, and I'm here to learn. And that's to pass down to somebody else after,
Yeah.
And they gotta take that mentality. I'm not gonna be around my company the whole time. I hope that someone else can take it over when I'm gone.
Yeah.
I don't plan
You're thinking about legacy, which is
I don't
what
plan
I
on
admire.
selling that stuff. I don't plan on selling that and like just running away. I don't see myself retiring. I need to do something with my life. I can't just sit and relax and do something. Even if I'm 80 years old, I don't see myself doing that.
Have you seen the movie Troy
I have.
with Brad Pitt?
I think I know what he's getting at.
Yeah.
So like what you just said, like I agree with you 100%. But like also when he goes in there and he's like, I do this for the glory. I do this to be remembered. I don't know, man. That resonates to me a bit because, like, there's people in my life that I care about that I grew up with, and I want them to know that I'm okay. I want them to know that you taught me well. What you've done to create this is being remembered because I strive harder every day. I've met my grandfather only like. Probably known for 3 years. I think he passed away when I was like 7. Yeah. And it's just like, as far as memory, and it's just like his memories are there. Like I remember him and the stories. Like if you hang out in my hometown in a bit more organic way and meet some people, they know him and they know what he's done. They know that he was a great chef. And like I've taken that knowledge. I've taken those stories and turn it into my story. So like hopefully one day that people will see like, oh wow, you know what, you did some great things too.
It's better versions of our ancestors. Granted, like I grew up with amazing parents and I'm just trying to replicate what they've done and then like twist it around a little bit in like a different way, a different field of work that I chose, you know? I think that's super important because you are who you were raised by. And I firmly believe in that too.
You're raised in your environment and you seek that, right? You seek improvement. You seek acceptance to the people who...
You seek other people even when you don't have anyone.
Yeah.
You seek that.
Which is unfortunate for some people that
absolutely
don't have access to their parents. Yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Well, as we wrap up, I know you mentioned, you touched on how Masshole Media, you want to leave behind a legacy with that.
Yeah.
What specifically, because we talked about your production company a lot, what do you foresee it becoming? Is it like Lyrical Lemonade status?
We're going to be doing a record label in the next like couple of years.
Nice.
100%.
Awesome.
So
All
what
is
we're
yellow,
doing,
like Lyrical Lemonade.
yeah, so
but
what we're doing is the idea that I have, I've never really explained this idea.
Sure.
We have the creative side handled out. We have 250 people around the world. We want to do that with producers all around the world.
Right.
So people that they admired in their city, we can set them up with like, so for example, the artists in Italy, we have producers in Italy that take care of them.
You already have like the talent.
If there's an incredible K-pop star, we have a Korean producer dealing with it.
That's crazy.
I think that'd be a really cool way to pay homage in certain respects. I mean, the Lyrical Lemonade album is a great idea. Like, I think it would be awesome to do kind of like underground sound and make an album for artists out of Boston, artists out of Toronto, and just pump out one a month of those, or like one every like couple months, and do it worldwide.
And you're helping them because you're bringing value using your platform.
Exactly.
And then that returns on you, because people was responsible for making me, fall in love with this rapper or like this, the music. Oh, it's Masshole Media.
And not necessarily all big names, but it's just to put on other artists. So we have one main guy from Boston or whatever, and he's the headliner in that whole album, but you get a placement with him, whether you have 100 monthly listeners, you're part of that track, and you're on a record with that guy, whether it's the song that you're on or if it's him solo, you're still with that name, which I think is a big deal for artists to get their first placement. And I want to be able to provide that for people.
I'm going to keep in touch with you, because I got an album that I want to produce.
Absolutely.
Chocolate fudge sundae that doesn't melt in your hand.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I want you to produce that.
All right, we can run that.
Yeah.
We can run that.
Awesome. Tyler Seller, it's always been appreciated. You're a young legend, and you got a lot going for you. And it's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you so much.
And guys, thanks for watching. And that's the move. Peace.